welcome to Chuckin Buckets. I'm the stat guy. Got my co-host KB with me. We're here to talk some Duke, North Carolina, and hit you with some South Carolina, UConn women's basketball coming up later this week. Man, let's get into it. KB, man, you catch that Duke North Carolina game? What's your first impression thoughts coming off that loss for Duke?
I did, man. Kind of going into it, man. It's a rival game. No matter the 4 stars or the 5 stars on the teams. When you talk about rival teams, you expect to be a good game. Between the Tobacco Roads there. Um, Going into it, man, I was a little nervous, man. Being a Duke fan, I just wasn't sure exactly what we was going to bring to the table. I thought it would be a little bit closer than it was. And North Carolina, they came out and dominated the game for us, man. I mean, down low, kind of beat us up a little bit, and we talked about the rebounds even before we kind of got on here. But I mean, they dominated the boards on us, and it seemed like we just kind of gave up towards the end, man. And hats off to North Carolina for pulling out that win.
Yeah, I mean, definitely dug yourself a hole there in the first half and then just kind of couldn't get out of it. I'll be honest, I was shocked at North Carolina kind of having their way with the physicality side. I mean, you look at from the front court, Duke getting outscored 50-36, getting out rebounded 25-14. I mean, that's how you lose a basketball game right there. And it was almost just like they weren't ready for the physicality of it, which is crazy thinking about Tobacco Road, Duke, North Carolina.
Yeah, exactly. I think another good thing in North Carolina, they limited the turnovers, man. Looking at the stats, they only had 5 turnovers for the whole game versus Duke having 11 turnovers. When you can win that turnover battle, man, it's huge, man. Especially playing at home.
Yeah, no, for sure. One of the things from a Dookie fan that was brought to me, do you think John Shire is in over his head?
Um, in the beginning, I used to think so, man. I thought he was kind of handed the keys, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't ready. But as I've seen some more of his games, like I see why Coach K, maybe handpicked him. Like he's a smart guy, man. He knows the X's and the O's. Like once he gets a few more recruits under his belt, like he's not going to be Coach K, right? Nobody's going to be that Coach K, but I think he'll find his lane, man. Like it's not like this is a bad team, you know what I'm saying? Even at 16-5, 7-3 in the conference, like, even one of those 2 of those conference wins, they probably should have won. But I give it a shot, man. Like he's holding it down a little bit, man. I don't know anybody else that probably could come in there and just kind of take over what he did though.
And we talk all the time, styles make fights. Is this just a bad matchup for Duke? Is North Carolina just kind of going to be the kryptonite this year for how they play, or is there a shot at them getting some revenge here in a couple weeks?
No doubt, no doubt. I think there's some revenge coming in, in a couple weeks. Duke gets that win, but they also meet again in the ACC tournament. But I probably still give the edge to North Carolina right now. Like I said, I think Hubert Davis, he's getting a little groove by himself. Like I said, I think he's realizing when to call timeouts and not call timeouts for the team. I mean, they got the leading scorer in the ACC on their team as well. That he's found a groove with it, but I give a lot of credit to Bacot too, man. I've seen him grow over the last couple of years. Obviously, he dominated the boards against us. Kind of had his way on even on the offensive end as well, and he's tough in the ACC, man.
I was gonna say him. I was shocked when he came back. Right, I thought he was after kind of he turned the corner late last year. Then what he did in the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournament, I thought he was gone for sure. And then for him to come back, I really thought that was a huge get. That's almost like winning a flip at National Signing Day and picking up a big 5-star recruit. That was a huge get to get him back one more year, and it's paid dividends for him.
Yeah. I think he does. I think he did the right thing, man. It sounded like he got some good advice from a draft perspective. I mean, he probably would have went first round. I don't think he was a lottery pick, anything like that. But I mean, we see it all the time where guys just kind of leave too early. Probably should have stayed, even chasing the money. But he staying this extra year, it definitely raises draft stock.
What where do you think Duke's kind of Achilles heel is right now? I mean, it feels like kind of the you kind of see the wheels spinning. Obviously, I mean 7-3 in the ACC isn't horrible, but you kind of see some wheels spinning. Where's kind of their Achilles heel right now that the wheels could fall off the bus?
Man, I think honestly, I think our guard play has been really inconsistent, man. Like from the defense end, obviously we give up what 93 points right here, man, between like McCain and Roach. I mean, I like Proctor as well, but I think at any given night, like we don't know who the man is. I like going into the season. I thought it should have been Roach all the way, right? Like, say he's got the experience and came back like he should have came back. Like this is supposed to be his team, but sometimes I don't see him. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I see Proctor, sometimes I see McCain. Like we kind of flip and flop, and all those guys are good, but I think the inconsistency right there is what we're seeing, and what's going to be our downfall going into the tournament.
Yeah, when you have kind of that guard play, it's one thing if it's kind of the mindset of I got three guys and any of them can give you a 20 piece. It's another when you don't have actual leadership. And I think that to me is what really hurts Duke, especially in their backcourt, is you feel like everybody's not pulling on the same rope. And it's kind of just every man for themselves type feel. What does obviously you said you rewatched it. Did it feel like a Duke North Carolina game? Did it still have that same fire and intensity?
Man, maybe late into the second half, just a little bit. But I think when North Carolina kind of jumped out, you know what I'm saying? I think it was a 10-point lead, maybe at the half. Like I expect that to be a 1, 2 point game at the half when we talk about a Duke North Carolina rivalry. But North Carolina was technically in the control the whole way, even when we cut that thing down maybe to like 4 or 5. I think going into the second half, like North Carolina was still in control. It was their game to lose, not necessarily our game to win when it came down to it.
Yeah, no, I'll be honest. Like I know ESPN showed some commercials for it a couple times leading up to the game Saturday night, starting probably about Thursday or so. But like it just doesn't have the same feel as 10 years ago when you saw Duke North Carolina previews 3 weeks ahead of the game. Like nothing but Duke North Carolina, nothing but Duke North Carolina. Has Tobacco Road rivalry kind of lost some flavor? Is you think it's still big? And maybe just not as big in the media standpoint.
I think it's different, man. I'm not gonna say it's not there. It's still a rivalry, but I think once we see the changes in coaches on both sides, right? We're seeing the changes on both sides, and now we're seeing some of the players kind of come and go, and we're not getting those straight up star players like we used to. Like I said, I think NIL has something to do with that as well. Even though from a Duke perspective, we've had some top classes, but we don't have that Zion, right? We don't have that Grant Hill back in the day. You know what I'm saying? We don't have that one player that just kind of gets off. Or even a Jason Tatum, you know, as being like top 5 picks. Like we don't have that, and I think you just don't see the star-studded play from players and also coaches. So I think that kind of takes away from the rivalry a little bit.
I got you. Yeah, I could definitely see that. Definitely don't have the name flair that you've had before where you can kind of marquee it.